Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Wednesday, August 6th, and we're up to Hebrews chapter 11, which is by far one of my very favorite chapters in the Bible. I have taught on this on The Walk over the 4.5 years that it's been going many times. But there was a wonderful note from the Gospel Transformation Bible, and it's for this whole chapter. I'm just going to read it to you verbatim because it was so good. And it says, "We sometimes do not see the forest because we are intently looking at the trees. So it is with the great faith chapter. It is easy to get lost in the details and to miss the big picture. The heroes and heroines of faith have much in common. Often their faith is directed to the future, which is unseen. And verse 1 says, 'Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen.' Why the emphasis? The answer lies in the historical occasion of the book. The writer motivates those who have professed Christ under the threat of persecution. He wants them to endure to obtain God's unseen future promises. This is the accent that he uses when he introduces the concept of faith in chapter 6, verse 12. He wants his readers to be imitators of those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. That is what Abraham did in chapter 11, verse 15. And that is what the witnesses to faith in chapter 11 do too. By faith, knowing Noah being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. Because the original readers of Hebrews would not receive the full benefits of their faith in this life, the author focuses on heroes whose lives highlighted the future dimension of faith. Abraham, for example, was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. In fact, the writer summarizes the witnesses to faith up to and including Abraham this way. These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth." That's verse 13. Another key dimension of faith extolled in chapter 11 is its firm, steadfast character, especially in light of present sufferings and future glory. So it is that Moses chose rather to be mistreated with his people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt. Hebrews combines the steadfastness of faith with its unseen reward when it says of Moses, "He endured as seeing him who is invisible." If ever there was a biblical chapter with prosperity theology teachers should avoid, this is it. The heroines and heroes of faith hardly named it and claimed it. To the contrary, they were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were killed with the sword, they went about destitute, afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy. The chapter ends still focusing on the future promises of faith. And all these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us, they should not be made perfect. These words draw attention to the final salvation accomplished by Christ's priestly ministry. Old Testament saints looked forward to this ministry, and amazingly, Christians now enjoy its fruit, solely by God's grace. So as we look at this and we start to think this through, it's important that we understand that faith sometimes means you're not going to see it. There are plenty of biblical examples of people who were promised something and they never saw it, but yet it did come true. The Cultural Study Bible had this to say about this chapter. After encouraging his audience regarding preserving faith, the author defines this kind of faith in verse 1 and offers a thesis statement in verse 2, an appropriate way to begin a discourse on a subject. Writers sometimes praised a virtue as here. Orators would often drive home a point by repeating the same opening word or words as here. In this case, those words are by faith. And Jewish writers sometimes summarized Jewish history in a way that emphasized a particular element of it. The author climaxes with the ultimate hero of faith and Hebrews 12, verses 1 to 3. So here we are, we're at chapter 11, verse 1, and it says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." Let's break that down. Let's really think that through. Faith is being sure of what it is that you are hoping for. We are hoping for Christ's return. We are hoping for our salvation. We know that we know that we know. It's not like, oh my, I hope it's coming. It's, I know this is coming. It's assured. You know that it's happening. And it's the conviction of things not seen. It's knowing that it's true. How do we know that it's true? Well, we look at what God has done throughout the Bible as evidence of it, and we're going to see lots of evidence of Bible stories as we move forward in this chapter. And it's also looking at what God has done in your personal life. When I think about the times that God has shown up and shown off in a big, mighty way, there's no way I could possibly think that this is not true. There's no way I could think that God is not real. It's that conviction of things not seen, because the evidence has been there and we know that it's true. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.